My name is Stephanie West. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I grew up in New Mexico. I'm fourth generation New Mexican. The name of my company is Go West Design, and I'm a graphic designer. Well, first and foremost, I want to say that I'm an artist at heart. And I think a lot of graphic designers are. And so I think daily, even in other logistics such as business planning and marketing, that creative aspect comes forward. So it's a nurturing of the childlike personality or the innocence of the child that allows you to be creative, think outside the box, even when it comes to accounting. What graphic designers do is that they are artists, and it's a visual medium. So it's about visual communications. I call it being a visual linguist. And it's taking form and simplifying it down. Or in the case of a client, taking their idea and translating it into a image that conveys their meaning, their intent, their job or specialty product, whatever. I love the field of graphic design because it permeates almost every industry and every project. It has a lot to do with other people who are in big companies. And so I interact in all different kinds of ways, doing all different types of design work. I would say my most interesting design project was for a police officer who had a business partner in Las Vegas, Nevada, and they wanted me to put a fingerprint inside a butterfly's wings. And from a graphic design point of view, I had to make sure that if you looked at the butterfly, you could see the fingerprints inside. So that was a little tricky. I love my typical day because I don't have one. I moved out of the corporate world. I think my last industry was in education. That was a great industry to be in, by the way. You speaking about learning, because they were also thinking outside the box. And so I really enjoy being in charge of my own day-to-day work, although I do make appointments that I stick to. And so every day is different. I really enjoy that. I'm not on a big ship that takes years to steer in the right direction. The original start was, I would say, when I was 5. That was the very beginning of my story, you might say, where I identified that what I wanted to do was do art. And graphic design came along when I joined a factory. I moved to a new town, which happened to be in California. I got a job as the assistant to the vice president, who happened to be in charge of creative. And so, as that position in administration, I was doing creative things. At that point in time, it was typography, a lot of typography. But it was the graphic design position of putting catalogs together. That was great because the printing company, one of the printing companies was in China. So the things that I would do communicated with China at that time. And it was a wonderful learning experience because it gave me a chance to be in all areas of the manufacturing process. So if there's any insights into that, I would say being flexible, letting yourself go where you're needed or where you want to go because of, at that time, it was financial. I needed to make money. And it was a great adventure and a good choice, very good choice. As I mentioned, one of my last jobs was in education. They took away my 401k or they changed my insurance, and I really thought that was quite rude. I've been with the company 5 years, and I didn't feel that I deserved to have all my investments just wiped out. So I think that's when I made the decision to go on my own so I could be in charge of my insurance, my 401k, my savings plan, and that a company wasn't in charge of that. I've been on my own since I'm going to say it was the beginning of the internet, 1989. Yeah, that's a long time. And it takes a while to feel comfortable being on your own because there are ups and downs and there are dry patches where you don't make money. So you learn to have some endurance and you learn how to do some planning that works around that. I was most interested in the art classes. And at that time, you could do things that are not allowed in the school system. So unless it's a special program. So I was able to learn casting with tufa that's mined right here in New Mexico, pouring hot metals and using a blowtorch and all kinds of things that they really don't do now unless you're at like a community college. So I went to Santa Fe High, and from there I went to UNM. And UNM at the time, and maybe still now, I don't know if it's in the curriculum, but it had zero marketing. It was just art. So if I could mention anything about business planning and marketing, even how boring as it may seem, find a good teacher and take those classes, because it took me a while to gain those skills on my own. I encourage you, I invite you to find a good advocate, whether that be a friend, a relative, or a teacher, who mainly encourages you to pursue and pursue. You'll meet with a lot of opposition and critique, and that doesn't help you grow. So when you come across that opposition with an idea you have, find the right teacher who remains positive and encouraging.